So, as an All-American Division One hammer and weight thrower, the amount of torque on your body during that event is intense. How do you prepare your body for that type of force?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Um, there's not a ton of, prerequisite exercises to introduce your body to it. You kind of grow stronger as your body recognizes the movements, but um, to avoid and come back from a few injuries, we prioritize doing all sorts of accessory movements, some Pilates style, very like deep core um, work, and just having those stability muscles beyond just the main compound movements that we'll do in the normal weight room.
I know there's such a mental component to track and field as well, and you have so much pressure on yourself in every meet to compete at the highest level within those three throws that you get. What are some things that you do to mentally prepare for being on a big stage?
Yeah, so meet day is hopefully less about nerves and more about kind of showing off what we've been working on in training. So usually those nerves I feel, I kind of reframe them to feel like excitement to show off what I prepared for. Um, I also, everyone is nervous, no matter how cool and calm everyone looks. Everyone's nervous, so that kind of levels my head, and it's about me versus myself versus my goals. It's not necessarily about beating anybody. So that kind of helps me regulate the emotions and focus on meet days.
Absolutely. And that type of mentality is what we see in the highest athletes, right? Competing against yourself, not always competing against others. And that can kind of bring those nerves down. What is something that you do to take care of yourself from a self-care standpoint? Because we know there's not a lot of time between that indoor and outdoor season. So how are you taking care of yourself?
Yeah, I'm in the basics: sleep, eating well, spending time socially, kind of relaxing a bit, letting my mind take a little bit of a break, not being in fight or flight the whole time, and then faith's a big part of my life as well. So just having a good meditative prayer life is super good for all areas of my life, especially competing and getting ready and um, refocusing between seasons.
Yeah, Henry's a well-rounded individual. Last thing, you mentioned sleep. Do you track your sleep? Everyone out here is tracking their sleep. I do it. How do you track your fitness and sleep?
Yeah, I started out with an Apple Watch, and then the last year or so, I didn't notice um, too much benefit from necessarily like getting more sleep. So I started focusing on quality of sleep. So I switched over to the Whoop, which Whoop is a tracking device that kind of helps you with a little more data on REM sleep versus deep sleep and restorative sleep. So that helped me a lot. I've made some adjustments for blue light blocking glasses before bed, putting up blackout blinds on my windows, just making my room as dark as possible, doing my 15 minutes of sunlight. There's a lot going on with the sleep schedule in the last few months, but Whoop has definitely been the biggest domino in helping me improve my sleep quality.
Have you noticed a huge difference? Because that's been one of the biggest debates with athletes, with non athletes, with your weekend warriors, and all the marathoners out there. Everyone's talking about how sleep affects performance. Have you noticed, like, when you get into those REM sleep stages, are you feeling better, performing better?
Yeah, I definitely think um, personally I can get 9 hours of sleep and still wake up feeling a little sluggish. It's kind of helped me manage my nervous system, which is my training is a lot of heavy compound movements. We're really pushing the nervous system. So being able to track that with my HRV and my kind of deep sleep has helped me kind of take a more um, serious approach, I'd say, versus just being like, oh, I got 8 hours, I'm good. Like I've had a few days where my how I feel usually isn't super dictative on how my sleep is. So being able to look and see my sleep and say, oh, I feel great, but my body says I'm down bad, and then adjusting my day on that versus sometimes I feel terrible, my body's great, and it's like, all right, maybe push past the feeling. So it's definitely helped me just mitigate injuries and kind of my temporary feelings throughout the day on how I feel of my body's rested versus how my body actually is rested. So at a high level, I think it's super beneficial for anybody that is, you know, very aware and conscious of their health, but I don't see a downside to
The theme is always quality over quantity, right? So
this, man.
better sleep is more important than more sleep. Do any of your trainers or anyone adjust your programming at all when they're like, oh, it looks like you didn't get enough sleep?
No, not in my sport. I have a pretty good relationship with my strength coach, so I can kind of tell him how I'm feeling, and we'll adjust it. It's 100% effort. It's just not always 100% weight. So it's finding that balance and you know playing within the effort you have for that day and making the most of it. But I have peers where their strength coach has their whoop in their community, so they can check their athletes.
Mm,
Recovery and all that. So it's just not something the track does because a lot of us don't have the whoop. So
yeah. Well, technology is only helping athletes, like yourself, get better sleep and pay more attention to your own health and wellness data. So, loved hearing about how you are taking care of yourself, and let's catch up soon. Best of luck.
yes, ma'am. Thank you.